Good morning, everybody, and welcome to PSG of Mercer County, or welcome back to PSG of Mercer County for many of you. And PSG of Mercer County is here for you, anybody who's in any kind of career transition. And of course, we always wish you a happy Aloha Friday. So if you're wondering why the leader of a business-oriented group is casual with an Hawaiian shirt, that's the reason why. Aloha Friday, casual Friday in Hawaii, and it's just one of the things I like to do. And also, today is National Dessert Day. So if you had no other reason to have some sort of visit a local bakery or have your favorite confection, today might be the perfect day to do it on National Dessert Day. So, of course, PSG of Mercer County, we are here to provide you all manner of resources, a little bit of support, guidance, of course, all to help you be more efficient and more effective with your own job search. And so we do that with a number of resources that we do provide for anybody. Those are among them our LinkedIn group. So hopefully you are on LinkedIn and you are building up a robust profile. Our LinkedIn group does have over 1,700 members, and they are all people that have been to one of our meetings, either in person or virtually. So they've been to a meeting at least once, and that's a requirement of ours. So if you are new to our group or just visiting us for the first time or haven't joined the group, the LinkedIn group just yet, please do so, but you'll be put in pending status until we review your request and make sure that you are on our attendance rolls. And then that's how we accept you in the group. And then be active in the group, because being active in the group is good for LinkedIn, search engine optimization, or SEO, help bring your name and profile a little bit higher in a search when people are searching for someone like you. So share some articles and job leads, whatever you find. Also, we do have a website. Our website is psgofmercercounty.org, psgofmercercounty.org. It is more than just a landing page. It is over 120 web pages of content. There is a tremendous amount of information that is there. We do have online resources that you can connect to through our website. For instance, you can connect to our YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel has over 114 topical presentation videos. They're basically all recordings over the last 2.5 years since we were primarily virtual. And now in hybrid mode, we are still able to record the meetings as long as our presenters have allowed us to do so. So if there's a topic you want to revisit, or maybe even a little later today, you want to go back and see some of the points that Bill brought up, you'll be able to do so through our YouTube channel. On the right side of every page on the website is a YouTube logo, and that link goes to our YouTube channel. So go check that out when you can. So in just a moment, I will turn the microphone over and the podium over to Bill. He will guide us through his presentation. I'm so excited that Bill is back here to do this program for us. This is such a relevant and important topic. And so with that, PSG of Mercer County is very pleased to welcome back Bill Pigula. Bill is a member of the PSG of Mercer County Executive Committee. He manages the PSG website job boards and is an instructor in our group as well. Bill is also volunteers as the Trenton Area Soup Kitchen, where he is a member of the Development Committee. In his career, Bill achieved success as a pre-sale consultant at the Teradata Corporation with expertise in justifying and implementing solutions for clients with data warehousing and business intelligence needs. Before joining Teradata, Bill was the marketing project manager on the IBM Global Risk Management Development Initiative. At IBM, he also managed a diverse group of client-facing systems engineers in New York City and taught classes at the IBM Finance Industry Center. Bill is the founder of Fisher Visualizations LLC, a management consulting firm that extracts valuable business insights from data and turns these insights into charts and infographics that improve business results. PSG of Mercer County is always pleased to welcome our very own Bill Pigula. Yay! In person and virtual applause. Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, David. Great introduction. It's great to be here. I've done a couple of these presentations when we were 100% Zoom, and I very much enjoy being here in person. And I hope that you consider as the people that are watching on Zoom, consider coming in, because you get an opportunity to network, get an opportunity to talk to people like David and Alan and myself about how your job search is going. So please consider it, but welcome anyway. David talked about the chat button, and we'll be monitoring that, and get to your questions, and people in the room here get to ask questions in person. So that's another advantage. Now, I just need to figure out how to advance the slide, and I'll be in good shape.
Click on the main slide area.
Click where? Oh,
And then move forward.
okay. Sorry for that. I'm a Dell guy, and this is an Apple computer, so learning curve. Anyway, here's what we're going to talk about today. We'll talk about marketing plans, but first we'll do a little bit of conversation about the big picture of the job search and its process. Get into marketing plans and some aspects of it, especially about how do you create it and how do you use it. From a big picture standpoint, though, if you're in a situation where you've recently lost your job, that happened to me a few times, a job loss is a body blow. And I don't care what anybody says, it's hard to roll with that punch. And I like to look at this Kubler-Ross grief cycle as, I mean, you see this applied to people who say lose a close relative, lose a spouse, but it applies to job loss too. We invest a lot in our careers, and it hurts if you get the rug pulled out from under you. These are the stages. I won't go through all of them, but the most important part of this is to realize that you've got to give yourself time to get through these stages. It's you can't. People get, oh, I lost my job, I got to start looking right now and making phone calls. I think what that turns into is you're in the wrong place emotionally if you've just lost your job. And it's important to maybe recognize that you really did lose your job. Recognize that you might be angry at your company about it, or disappointed, or whatever the emotion is. And then you may be bargaining with yourself and bargaining with others that, oh, how can I find meaning in this issue that I'm having? Then you get low and you just say, well, how am I going to get out of this? I'm in this hole. It really doesn't feel good. And finally, you get some strength and say, I need to accept this and move on. The important thing is to give yourself the time to go through those things. That means not only, look, you can do some things, we'll talk about that, but you want to be in a very positive mindset once you hit the job market. And so this is one of the obstacles to that mindset. So the first question you might be asking if you've lost your job is, well, where am I heading? Where am I? And like I said, allow time. Probably the most important thing to most of us is to assess your financial position. You had an income and now you don't. Where are you? Do you have savings? The things in green there on the right side, don't forget to look into those things. Unemployment insurance is something that you should not be ashamed to file for it. Some people are. It is something that you've been paying for unemployment insurance ever since you've been working in New Jersey and other states too. So it's a benefit. It's there for somebody who just got unemployed. So take advantage of that. You might have to make spending adjustments too. But the other proactive things you can do is start to make lists. Unless you really were in love with what you were doing before and you want the exact same job, you may have to make some adjustments. But before you start making or going after big changes, you need to know where you are. So making the lists of your personal strengths. What are your accomplishments? And then I say here, use the SAR approach, which I'll talk about in a minute. And what does your friends and your family say about your strengths? That can be not only educational, they may see something about you that you might not see or might not be aware of. It's also encouraging, because you'll have someone that you talk to and say, well, what do you think of, how have we worked? What do you see in me? And the answer might be, well, you're a very friendly, open person, and you're a good listener. And all these things that you might not have recognized come out, and people want to help. That's one of the themes here, is people do want to help. This presentation that's on the YouTube channel for PSG, listed here, all the presentations are by date, so you can go in and find this one. That's a good one to assess your career at any age. I encourage you to spend the time looking at that one. The SAR format that I mentioned, this is an approach to assessing your strengths and figuring it out. It's kind of a worksheet almost. The starting point, in my view, is in the lower right, where you start to put down just on a piece of paper, list what you see as your career accomplishments. And just what are they? David talked about, I was in management in IBM for a while. I took over a team that was very very diverse skills, and they were a resource team for a bunch of other customer-oriented teams. Morale was very low, and I was supposed to improve it. What I did evolved, but I put in a monthly reporting system that allowed the specialists to talk about what they did for each customer, and I circulated that report to the managers. And when it came time to sit around the table and allocate some bonus money, they had the information. They could come to agreement on the fact that Matthew ought to really get $200 this month, and Myra ought to get a dinner out because of the extra work they did. So that raised morale, because the visibility came up and people started to recognize the specialists as being valuable contributors. So what I just did is I started with the accomplishment of raising the morale, described the situation, and then the actions I took and the result of the raised morale. So the situation, action, and result method, you can use that to try to come up with some stories around your accomplishments. You can have more than one story for an accomplishment. And why do you want to do that? Well, when you interview, those stories become very important. When you're developing your resume, those stories become very important. So this is groundwork, and it's something you can do right out of the gate, and even before you start contacting potential employers. Okay, back to job hunting. It's always mysterious, and it's an art. There's no cookie cutter right way to look for a job, and there's no wrong way to look for a job. And it's hard work. People will tell you it's your new full-time job. I back off from that a little bit, but it's very important that you realize it's not easy, and people are not going to come looking for you without some investment by you. Some of it involves luck, and technique and practice can improve your luck. And I can have to look back at my own experience with the game of golf. I taught myself how to play golf, and I was pretty bad. Over the years, I've taken some lessons, and the lessons taught me that there are certain techniques of how you hold the club, how your stance is, how you move your shoulders, that increase the probability that you're going to hit that little white ball. Okay, and that's all about probability, and sometimes I'm going to miss it. But it's the fact that I took lessons, the fact that I practiced those techniques made me a better golfer. Likewise, in the job search, there are techniques that people understand. There are job coaches out there, there are interview coaches out there who can help you, and there are groups like this that you can come to that don't charge anything, but will give you techniques that will help you with the job search and improve your luck as far as getting a job. Most people, I think, get this, but I'm not going to spend too much time on it, is that back when I looked for a job and I was laid off once in 1990, this was the world, okay? How did you find a job? Well, you answered ads, right? You went to the unemployment office. You knocked on doors asking for jobs, unsolicited. And the internet wasn't really there, but you responded. Now you respond to postings. You find that some of these things still are important, but they might be lower in priority. The two lines with the asterisks there, I have them highlighted because they kind of came back. I would say 5 years ago, nobody was going to the unemployment office, and job search, some people really liked Indeed.com, and that's all they did was apply to Indeed.com. Or you pick the name of the site. Those, the job search groups and the unemployment offices with COVID, they've increased the visibility, and they've added tools that help employers find people during COVID. So if you go to New Jersey unemployment office website, you'll find jobs of all levels listed. And it's companies who have raised their hand and said, COVID is really hurting my ability to get people. I want some people, and here's some active opportunities. So be aware of that. The sharing economy, you have to take, I would say, look long and hard at that if you're going to be an Uber driver. I mean, if you need the money, that's a good thing, but it's a lot more complicated than it seems. So let's get to the marketing plan. What is it? It helps you focus on what you want and need. It helps others know about you and learn about you. And it can help shift your search. The old way was to find a job that you can fit yourself into. What the marketing plan helps you do is to find a role that you really want and you would enjoy doing. So, and these charts will be posted on our website if you would like to find them there in their entirety. So what is a marketing plan? From my bio, you heard that I was a marketing product manager. But what did I do? For selling products, this is what a marketing product manager does. You got the brand. For example, if you went to the supermarket and you looked for an orange cereal box Anybody know what that cereal box would be if it's bright orange? Wheaties. Okay, Breakfast of Champions. The brand is It's Always Orange. It's got an athlete on the cover, or on the front. Michael Jordan, a timely athlete. Michael Jordan might not be so timely, but Simone Biles was on the last box I bought. So they spent a lot of money to get endorsements, testimonials. They also spent a lot of money to put it on the shelf in the right place in a supermarket. So it's not coincidental that some of the little known cereals are way on the bottom at the end in the corner. General Mills puts a lot of money into supermarket marketing to make sure they have something that's at eye level for Cheerios, for instance. They run ads, they have brochures, they have promotions. We talked about the game of golf. I don't know how many boxes of Wheaties I bought because I could cut 3 coupons and mail them in. I could get 3 golf balls with the Wheaties logo on them. You know, it worked. I bought cereal. Okay, so anyway, those are communications channels. They also have a target market. For Wheaties, say, who is it? Well, it might be a younger person, maybe not. It might be someone who's athletic or wants to be athletic. And it might be someone who wants convenience. So they're analyzing all of that. The brand is the orange box, the pictures, the theme, the commercials. It all comes together in a document called a marketing plan. You can take that same thought process and apply it to job seeking. Person could have a personal brand. What are you known for? And we're going to talk about each of these boxes. You can go after target, instead of a target market, you're going after target companies. And for channels, there's now a number of different ways you can get yourself out there, make yourself known. So I think the analogy holds. And if you put it all together, you have a marketing plan for the job seeker. You use it in your search. It helps you focus on what you offer, because the hiring company is going to want to know, what do you offer? It gives you a consistent message across all the channels, so that it can be confusing if your resume says one thing and your LinkedIn profile says something else. So it unifies everything. And it helps you define your target market and target companies, because you may not want to work for every company. I mean, there are people in this room, including me, who have had unpleasant experiences after taking a job maybe before I should have, or with the wrong company. And then you might say to yourself, well, I have a resume. I did it last time I was looking for a job, or I did it 4 years ago, or whatever, but there's a difference. Resume is often focused on the past, what you've accomplished, what have you done, what things do you know, and maybe where you have worked. And there might be a chronology of when you worked there. Marketing plan is for the future. Goes back to, what do you want to accomplish? What are your strengths? What are you looking for? Where do you want to work? Location is important. And how you will be found. Now, each of those 3 boxes of brand, target company, and channel are addressed in the marketing plan column in different words. So where are you heading? What is your ideal job? That's something that people don't always ask. And these are kind of questions to get you thinking. Financial requirements is always very important. And it helps you to know, what are your needs financially, so that you can pay the mortgage and whatever else, other bills you have. What do you do best? When you talk to your fellow coworkers or former coworkers, what do they say is your best attribute? What do you What kind of tasks in your job did you do the best? What do you love to do? What puts you in the zone? That's, I mean, it's an athletic term, but I know that when I was a solution architect, what I would do, I really enjoyed sitting down when the systems weren't performing properly and they were the response time was terrible, figuring out why. And I really, somehow I could start a project like that at 1 o'clock, look up, and next thing I know it was 6, because I was just digging in it. But, you know, time flies when you're having fun. And in an ideal world, you'd like to have a job that lets you have time fly like that. And what is success to you is also important. I mean, everybody on the surface, you'd say, man, if I could make $500,000 a year, that would be success. Well, maybe, maybe not. If you really think about it, you want to spend time with your kids. You know, do you want to enjoy your own place where you live? Do you want to have a lot of friends? You know, those objectives aren't always in line with making $600,000 a year. At the bottom is something that really helped me. What is the generally accepted name for this job or role? I had a business card with Teradata company that said I was a solution architect. When I got laid off, what kind of job did I look for? Solution architect. So I was applying, I was getting interviews, and I was getting single interviews. Now, why is that? Well, it took me a while and some coaching from one of the people at the job support group to point out to me that maybe solution architect is not really what you did. And so I said, okay, well, how do I figure that out? I went to this website in green, the occupationalinfo.org/ONET. That is it's a collection of job functions and with brief descriptions about what the job function is. And it's by industry, and there's thousands of them. You can look that up, and I looked up solution architect. Well, what's a solution architect do? Well, in ONET, what a solution architect does, and the jobs I was interviewing for, was for people who really understood deep technology and who could plug in different systems and do the programming necessary to make them work. My job as a solution architect, the way Teradata defined it, was I was a technical assistant to a sales force. And I prepared technical presentations. I went and talked to technical executives about how Teradata could help them. It was more of a sales role. But if I'm a sales guy and I'm interviewing for a technical role, how many interviews am I going to get? Okay, so I modified, and what I found out was in ONET, the description of my job was not solution architect, it was pre-sale consultant. And I changed my resume and my approach and my cover letters and everything to say I'm a pre-sale consultant. And I got interviews. I ended up getting hired. Just abandoning my corporate naming convention of my job and going to the industry naming convention made all the difference in the world. So anyway, that's that. Another thing is, what kind of corporate culture would you flourish in? That's important. Think about it. The last job I had, I got hired to do some things in a very small company here in the Princeton area. It was great. People were nice. I could do the job. It was super. What I found, I'm a morning person. So what I found is I would get to work at 8 o'clock and I'd be opening up. And the boss was there, the owner of the company was there, but nobody else was, and they didn't roll in until 9 or 9:30. Well, okay, if I started at 8 worked all day, I'm tired by 4:30, 5 o'clock, and I'm slowing down. I really want to get out before traffic and whatever reasons. So I was leaving at 4:30, 5 o'clock. Meanwhile, all my coworkers were there at 6 or 7 or 8. And now that's corporate culture, right? Corporate culture is you work late. And guess what? The boss is still in his office at 6 or 7 or 8. So I didn't last long because I just couldn't adjust to having to work that late, but on a day-to-day basis. So anyway, another thing to think about. This is all about finding your snapshots, what works. Okay. A good way to help with that, can you find people doing at the very bottom? Can you find people doing the job in a role today? You could look up pre-sale consultant in LinkedIn. You can do a search and see other pre-sale consultants for other companies that describe a little bit what they do. And does this kind of suit what you do? Maybe you could go to their company's job board and see if, are there opportunities for other pre-sale consultants here at this company? It looks interesting. So that's a way LinkedIn can be used to kind of help figure out what you want to do. Other factors, the length of the commute. Do you really want, if you live in Princeton, do you really want to go to New York City every day? That's the most obvious one. Do you want a willingness to work in the office or need to be home? The corollary to that that's kind of interesting is more and more firms are receptive to people working from home now, and they don't have to be in this area. They could be in Omaha, and they might be ready to hire somebody that's going to work 100% remote. And so be aware of that. Willingness to relocate, that's still true, even though some places allow remote work. Family considerations and other considerations. I mean, we all have family. I know that people get sick and they need to be taken care of. So what are your considerations around that, and what kind of boundaries does that set? Something to ask yourself, get it out in the open, and before you accept something that you can't deal with. Okay, marketing plan is forward-looking. It's personal knowledge and company research. We talked about the fact of the brand and the target companies and the channels. The goal at the bottom there is to find a company with business needs that's in your sweet spot. That's something that you want to do. And it also gives you the confidence that you're the best person to meet those needs. So your brand. What are you known for? What do people say about you when you're not in the room? Professional. It's a good way to look at it. There are you hear discussion in the last 6 months about hard skills versus soft skills. The left-hand column talks about hard skills, so that these are your technical attributes, if you will, or your ability to sell, or your continued success as a salesperson would be on one side. Maybe it's the fact that you understand a piece of equipment needed for lab work in the pharmaceutical space. Personal and professional differentiators are the soft skills. What kind of first impression do you make? That's composed of a lot of things, including your appearance, your clothing, your grooming. I mean, it's all the stuff that in America we don't really talk about it too much, but Those are all things that come into the first impression. Your enthusiasm and motivation, that if you project an image of somebody who's enthusiastic and really enjoying this, that's great. The people are going to want to deal with you. Someone here, I think it might be Alex Freund, says nobody's going to buy a used car from a gloomy salesperson. Yeah, it's a car. Be enthusiastic. Show your enthusiasm. The knowledge of the target company will help you with that enthusiasm. If you can read about them, talk to people who work there, be familiar with the company, that's golden when you go into an interview. How can you help this company? You might learn that from the job boards, from talking to people. In general, your thoughtfulness and your calmness. If you project an image, especially if you're 50 plus, that you have a handle on the situation, I'm not going to panic. We know how we can handle this. Don't worry. That calmness is it's a great attribute that people don't pay a lot of attention to on the surface, but it shows. And your ability to learn and adapt. Again, if you're 50 plus, if you have accomplishments, remember a few slides back, if you have accomplishments that show that you've learned, you went to grad school and you got a physics degree in your time when you weren't working. That is an accomplishment. It shows you can learn. In today's world, the world's moving faster than any of us. And if you can demonstrate that you can adapt and adjust to that changing world, that's golden. So guess what? Looking for a job is selling. Okay, you're marketing yourself. What is your product? What do you offer to a potential employer? What is its value? And why would somebody want to buy this, need to buy this, and why would they want to get it from you? And then what unique qualities express your value? Now, I don't have this slide, but it's a good one. You've seen a couple, there's versions out there of field of zebras in black and white. And all you see is zebras, no scenery, no nothing, just a herd of zebras. They're all black and white, except one of them is yellow and black. You need to differentiate yourself so that you stand out from the crowd. It's a competitive job market out there. I don't know what the number is, but I hear that a hiring manager, if he posts a job, might get 200 applications. Okay, well, how are you going to be the person that stands out? Don't think that hiring manager is going to go through 200 resumes. So you got to get yourself into the top 5 somehow. And that differentiation we're going to talk a little bit about that, and that's your brand. And it's your unique qualities, and it becomes something that, are they looking for those unique qualities? It's not worth changing to meet somebody, because there's 100 people out there just like you. To help you with that, here's a tool, SWOT analysis. Some of you may be familiar with it. It's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. The way I've set this up, you see I've got 2 rows. We'll start on the bottom, the external factors that face a job seeker. There are opportunities. If you can find a growing field or industry that you meet up with, that's great. If it takes complex skills to be able to address their needs, and you have those skills, it's great. If there are inefficiencies in that particular marketplace, or a skill shortage, then those are all opportunities for you as a job seeker. However, there are threats as well in the external factors. There may be a candidate, and this is where luck comes in and unexplained circumstances in the job search comes in. There may be internal people who are teed up to be that manager of distribution within the company, but the company requires them to post and interview 3 external candidates. But they know they're going to hire their internal candidate. That's just the way it is. That's the way the ball bounces. You never really are going to find that out. Out of your control. Other candidates, you don't know what they bring to the table. The threat, there's a threat that they kind of go together. If a company has a low cost orientation, they're more willing to save on a monthly salary than they are to solve their problem. So it's an extreme case. Or their management might be too busy and they're not really putting the effort they need to do and to get the best management, to hire the best person. And suitability, somebody may just say, hey, he's 50 years old, we don't want him. Now, okay, age discrimination is illegal, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen. And so those are things that are threats. You go up to the top, these are the things you can control. You can control your skills, your attitude, the way you present your experience, your preparation, and your desire. And then the weaknesses box points out areas where you might be able to put some attention to. Certifications maybe, updating your skills, and some of the attitude things about maybe you're a little bit less confident, or you're feeling sorry for yourself because you got laid off. Those are things that you can fix. It might take time to fix them, but you can fix it. So you can do this for yourself with real items in there, and it may benefit you. Okay, competition, 200 resumes are on the hiring manager's desk. It's you versus the other 199. I'm sorry, it is a competition. And they're comparing background and skills and track record, and they've got some preconceived notions. Younger equals cheaper. You hire somebody right out of college, right? Older isn't flexible. They've been doing it this way for 100 years, and they're going to continue to do it this way, and we need new thinking, and so on. The way around all of that is think about the company and think about its business problem. They're looking to hire somebody to solve a business problem, and even if it's the programming issue that the system doesn't work, it turns into a business problem at some point, and it costs them money, or it lowers their revenue. So how can you help with that business problem? And there are advantages to being the person who has more experience, who's calm in a situation, and so on, that helps solve that business problem. Features that could differentiate you, these are just some. You can come up with your own, but are you reliable? That's a big one these days. If you look out on any of the social media or job posting sites, they talk about ghosting, right? Where the candidate goes through the interviews, everything's fine, we want to offer them a job, and the candidate disappears. Okay, that's an extreme example, but it happens out there. Likewise, companies, well, they could do ghosting the other way too. But are you reliable? Are you going to show up? Are you going to do what you say you're going to do? And that's something you can demonstrate, but you can also make that an accomplishment in that list and make it a story that you were reliable and this is how it worked out. You're always on time, always with your budget. Again, it ties back to your SAR story. Do you anticipate problems? Anyway, you can read the rest of the list, but hitting the ground running can be important. That they've got the problem and they have it now. And I haven't seen too many employers these days who want to train people in a technology or in their process. They want you to be able to come in and do the work. So your brand. If your brand, these are the objectives of it, and the italicized letters there are what you would like to see, the reaction you're looking for. You're talking about yourself, your brand, your stories. You want the hiring manager to be thinking, this person can help me. It encourages curiosity. The important thing to realize is that conversations are important. And you would like the person that you're talking to say, tell me more about that. Or we got this other thing going on here, but there should be things in your branding statements or your initial statements that encourages them to ask questions. And then communicates likability. That's one of the soft skills, but they're asking the question, how's this person gonna fit into my job? Will he be able to work with the other people? Will she be able to get along with the person down the hall who's difficult? So that's what's going on in the hiring manager's mind. And think about your brand in those terms. Okay, David, are there any questions?
Currently, no questions in chat, but folks, it's an opportunity to do so, or even here, folks.
Yeah, anybody?
Ask away.
Okay. Well, if you think of one, don't be afraid. Okay, so we'll go on to target companies. We've all been out there. We know people, we know companies, not our own, that were our competitors, or they were down the street, or they did something like we did, but we don't know that much about them. What organizations interest you? You can go to your own experience, of course. That's a good first place to start. You can talk to other people. Indeed.com has got a section called immediately hiring. So if you are in kind of a financial straits right now and you really need to get a job, maybe that's a place to look. LinkedIn is the top, so we're going to talk about it more. The PSG website that David talks about has an open jobs tab, and we invite recruiters to post opportunities like that they're trying to fill. No guarantees that the opportunity is still there, but it's a listing. LinkedIn is the biggest thing, and then there's also a research tool called Reference Solutions. It's done by a company called Data Axle, and it's available at most public libraries. And what that is a list of all companies in the country, basically, indexed in a number of different ways. So you can, if you wanted to work in Dade County, Florida, you could search for companies in Dade County, Florida that are bigger than 20 employees, that are whatever criteria, that are in the chemical industry or whatever industry you want to be in. And so you can come up with a candidate list using that tool. And And also the PSG of Mercer County, we have an open job. We also have the companies, list of companies that I maintain. It covers the Mercer County and 6 border counties, including Bucks. And it's indexed by industry and we'll take you to the job boards page of a particular company. And you can see, we don't maintain job listings, but we maintain the link to the job boards. So you can go and see what they're doing, what they're hiring. Resources, we talked about that. I mean, there's the basic ones that we always used. Friends, people who work there. LinkedIn is kind of new. If you see some company you really like, follow it on LinkedIn. That will get you any notices of new things that the company announces through LinkedIn. And also, recruiters for that company will search, if they're looking for someone with your skills and they see that you are following them, that's kind of a subtle way of saying you're interested. And so that would be, it's a good way, it doesn't cost you anything, but it's a great way to keep tied together with the companies you're interested in. Internet, and the internet will have reviews. Glassdoor is a website that takes postings from other employees. You gotta kind of take that with a grain of salt, I think. And the press. The other thing that's people don't often do, well, people do it, is volunteer. Volunteer with a local community organization. The person next to you may just be working for the company that you're interested in or knows somebody. So it opens your network a little bit. It's good for the community too. One thing I'm going to suggest is be careful of your time in all of this. I mean, we're all human. We don't want to spend, even if we did spend all our available time on job search, there's not enough time. So that's what that bullet at the bottom is you're looking for showstoppers as far as target companies go. If you find a target company that, yeah, I'd love to work there, but it's in, I don't know, Houston, Texas, and I don't want to do that, and they don't want remote employees, well, take it off your list, okay? If I heard, I guess it was last week, Marty Gilbert said that just applying to job boards can be a big waste of time because it may never surface. Your application may never get to the hiring manager. And he suggests you spend maximum 15% of your time doing online applications, no more than that. And like I said, if it doesn't fit, get rid of it. Get rid of the showstoppers. As an aside, informational interviews are a great thing to do. It helps you talk to somebody who's really doing the work and gets you more insight about a company. People want to help. Okay, that's the underlying premise. But if you can network yourself in either through somebody at the volunteer line or your cousin knows somebody, would they be willing to spend a half an hour with you? And you want 20 minutes to half an hour tops. And the premise is you're not looking for a job. You want to learn about the company. If you get that appointment set up, next thing you do is come up with 8 to 10 questions, not 45, okay, not 2, but a decent number so that you can assess what the company is all about. And you're comfortable with the questions, you can go into that appointment prepared. First impression, you think if it's an accounting firm, you probably wear a suit. Or a bank, you probably wear a suit. but whatever it is you're going for, dress appropriately. When you sit down and talk, you say, okay, it's now 11 o'clock, and we said we'd meet for half an hour, right? Yeah, that's right. Okay, well, here's your first question. What do you do about question one? And could you talk to me about question one? And you go through your list. You get the answers to your questions. If you have one more, well, what's happened to me on these is that I get through the questions in about 20 minutes. Okay, and at that point, what I'll say is, Ms. Manager, I respect your time. That's all the questions that I have. Do you have any questions for me? Oh, no? Okay, well then, as far as I'm concerned, I've got my questions answered. I'll give you back 5 minutes of your time. Thank you very much. Or they might say, oh, I booked out a whole hour. Let's talk some more. Okay. Same thing is true. When that 30 minutes is up, you're in control. So after 30 minutes, it's Ms. Manager, I'm sorry, I've got 2 more questions, but our time is up and I really only asked you for 30 minutes. And so we can end the meeting here. And they may say, yeah, okay, thanks, I do have something to go to. Or they may say, no, this is interesting. I got another 45 minutes. Why don't you stay? So anyway, it's a very casual thing, but the rule at the bottom is key. You never ask for a job. It's just the premise of the meeting was I'm here to get information, and that's what you're doing, getting information. Personal story that's happened to me where I've had that interaction. We're getting along famously. My questions are all answered. Isn't this great? And I learned about the job. Isn't it terrific? I could do that job. Meeting's over, and I kind of violated the rule because I may put them at ease that I wasn't going to ask for a job, and I just not reliable. I didn't do what I said I was going to do. So if it's an informational interview, that's what it is. Stick to the script, and you'll be fine. And you can do this. This is really good because you can actually, the final question you could ask is there anyone else here at the company that I should talk to? Or someone in this role that I should talk to? And maybe say, no, no, I don't think so. Or the answer is probably going to be, oh yeah, Mary down the hall, she's more associated with your particular role. Why don't you talk to her? Would you introduce me? Okay, you're building a network. Maybe get another interview, learn more about the company. And the thing is with these is if you talk to somebody like that, and I'm bad at it, but is to keep in touch. Tell them how you're doing. A month from now, I got a job, or a month from now, I didn't get a job, or whatever. But it's part of your network. Okay, so that's target companies. What I have. Any questions, David?
There are no questions in chat.
Any questions in the room? Okay, off we go to channel.
I have a question.
Okay.
Hello?
Hello, who is it?
This is Sonia.
Hi, Sonia.
Hi. A quick question on interviews. Is it a good idea to have your questions pre-done on a pad to take in with you? Or should you have them all memorized, which sometimes is not great for me anyway?
Well, I've always had, like on an informational interview, I've always had the list. And even if I would even ask, do you mind if I make a note occasionally? And most people would say yes. But I don't think it's a negative to have the questions down.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Thank you. Yes, that was great.
Okay, well, here we are in channels. And in this job search world these days, with the 200 resumes on the desk, it's important to realize that you've got to make yourself visible. And to do that, you got to know your audience, right? Who might be looking, who might want to know that who you are. And there's a list there, the hiring managers, maybe the human resource professional, the recruiter, or your network. They all might want to know about you. Think about the business you were in. Where would you look for information about one of your colleagues at a different company? I mean, if you're in pharma, it might be a directory, a professional directory of some kind. But if you're in banking, I don't know. It might be an association or something. But where would you want to find out more about somebody? The go-to place these days is LinkedIn. So having your LinkedIn profile together is cool. We'll talk about that. But it's a good question to ask, and if there are other resources around in your field. The site of first resort for people looking for someone is LinkedIn. That's just the way it is. If you disagree, fine, but I think you'll find that it is true. Hiring managers use it. Same people that are on the previous list are the ones who use LinkedIn. One thing to realize is that, let's say Johnson & Johnson has got a whole team of recruiters that they pay, they're on their payroll, and they're hiring for people trying to fill positions. They use LinkedIn. But guess what? They have a special version of LinkedIn that lets them do deeper searches on more categories, so that they have the ability to say, does Bill follow Johnson & Johnson on LinkedIn? I only want to look at candidates who follow Johnson & Johnson. Okay, so those things are, be aware that they have their own way of looking at things, and it's much like a Google search for them, in that the algorithm selects who comes up on the top. Nobody knows the algorithm, and that's one of those out of your control things. But you can maximize your impact by having a photo on your LinkedIn profile. Some people don't like that, but that's a plus mark in the LinkedIn algorithm column. You follow the companies, contribute. Visibility is important, and the more, if you have something to say, a comment on someone else's article that you see, or you want to write a little one paragraph, however long you want it, article or a couple sentences yourself on a relevant topic, do it, because that only helps you in LinkedIn. You can join groups. Again, if you're in pharma, there are a number of different groups dealing with aspects of pharma that will put you in touch with, or will open you up to conversations about those particular groups. And it also expands your network, because other members of the group can now see your postings without connecting with them. Okay, and you can see others as well. So you might see somebody who works at XYZ company that you might want to contact. You can use LinkedIn to do that. Contribute, reply to the in-mail messages if they're relevant, comment, and give and receive recommendations. That turns out to be, we had a speaker here maybe 3 or 4 months ago who said that this was, the algorithm really likes it if, say you had, there's a section in LinkedIn that lets you recommend people and write yeah, I work with Mary in this particular position. I write a little paragraph about how she's a great colleague and I could rely on her to help me out. Da, 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 da. And you, likewise, you want to get people to write recommendations for you on LinkedIn. Same thing, just reversed. But that's a plus in the algorithm. And so be aware of that one. Again, LinkedIn is, it's like Google. The top, what the algorithm thinks are the top candidates rise to the top. And how many of you go to page 3 of the Google search list? Right, and so you want to put yourself at the top. Now here's a feature that is a little bit controversial. There's a feature that, if you see, that's my LinkedIn profile. That's back when I knew how to tie a tie. But there is a feature there. The top arrow is the open to bullet there, the pill. That if you click on that, it lets you put in a semicircle around your picture, kind of like shown on the very rightmost part of the slide. And it says you're open to work. Okay, so the controversy is that a sign to recruiters that say, I'm ready to work, come get me? Or is it a sign that says, I'm desperate, and I haven't worked in a long time and I better get a job? So it's your call. I don't have the answer, but be aware that the feature exists. I think it has other messages that you can put out there too. But it's something, you might want to play with it. See what happens. What some people who are really into LinkedIn will do is they'll do a test, okay, and they'll run their standard profile. And this week I had 32 people looked at me. So you can get that statistic. Then they'll put this on about open to work, and this week 42 people looked at me. I don't know what the value, you got to look at your own mind and how you think it might work, but it's something that LinkedIn doesn't always advertise, but it's there. Okay, so here are some different channels that are available to the job seeker. Your resume, we talked about that. I view the resume, its purpose is to get in the door. It may be the way people are these days. They may circulate the resume once they decide you're going to be interviewed. They may not. But what I'm finding, and other people I think here will say, is that the cover letter is an important thing to add to a resume. And both the resume and the cover letter need to be tailored to the opportunity. Back in the day, I had a standard resume and I would print 15 copies on nice paper and be able to send it out. No, you have to be able to tailor each resume to each opportunity. Cover letter, same thing. Why would you want to work at this company in particular? What do you bring to the table? Highlight some of your strengths that you developed early on. So cover letter is important. It could be a differentiator, because if only 3 of those resumes out of the pile of 200 had a cover letter, that's probably a good thing if you're one of the 3. The internet. You can expand your online presence by contributing to by contributing to LinkedIn. If your industry has professional forums, you can be active on them. You can set up your own website, which is relatively easy to do and it's pretty cheap, but it can tell the world a little bit more about you and I'm not talking Facebook like I went on vacation last week, but you're professional. And you may even become like a clearinghouse for professional articles or something. You never know where it's going to go. You could start your own blog and put some questions out there for other people and comment back and forth, get some discussion going. I think the key for this bullet is, and for some of this, is to become an expert. The world these days likes specialization. So if you can be the expert in your field, that will get you jobs, being that expert. And experts are visible. You can't really hide under the bushel basket. You have to be out there. If another channel you might run into is the verbal channel, which we know about, interviewing, talking, telling your story, but it also might be a video channel these days. More and more companies are doing video interviews, where you're sitting at your laptop at home and their team of 3 wants to talk to you. You can practice video interviewing. There are videos out there on YouTube, not on ours, I don't think, but on you can search YouTube for interviewing videos, coaching. And you can also, if you go to the camera app on your, at least in the Windows world, you can record record yourself and show how you make a little presentation. Answer the question, tell me about yourself. Here's a tough one. And you can rehearse using that feature. Business cards, even though we're not meeting as much, I'm a big fan of business cards. I think it's good to have, it becomes a little leave behind if you're talking to someone. I've used them in all kinds of situations, not only professional situations, but if you're at an event and you're talking to somebody and, oh, yeah, I'd like to talk to you again. Well, here's my business card. And just have them with you and give them out as you need. Or if you want to take their phone number down, you write it on the back of your business card. It's you can do that a number of ways. You carry a little pad or something, but I like business cards. You can get them pretty cheaply. Vistaprint is one company that does it, but it's the other thing I like about business cards, or that I advise, don't get them in glossy format. Some people, the card companies make them shiny for you, and get the backside blank. So all your information's on the front, nothing on the back, and now it's a little writing thing, either for the person you gave it to. I saw Joe at the PSG meeting on October 12th. Okay, gives somebody else an opportunity to remember you. Finally is a brochure, and it's like, remember, this is marketing and selling. You could, and you can do it from the information of the marketing plan, is come up with a one-pager. Okay, something that's a leave behind if you go to an informational interview, or any interview for that matter, to just say, here I am, this is me, remember, and just list bullets about what your strengths are, or what your accomplishments were, or what's your differentiators. It's nice for people to have something to take away. After they interviewed 3 people, or had one informational interview with you at 8 o'clock and had 7 more meetings afterwards, to have something in their hand to read, oh, I remember Bill, and you never know. So consider doing one of those for yourself. Computer lets you do it easy. David, any questions?
There are no questions. Nicely, a few people could commenting among themselves on
Oh,
some of the things you mentioned, but not to the board specifically.
okay.
Yes, please.
Could you speak in the microphone?
Yeah, sure.
There's a green button on the top, I think, that turns it on.
Good.
That way so the people in the peanut gallery can hear.
There's a button on top of this.
Yeah, the record. All right, thanks. The question's pretty simple. Is there anything special characteristics we might want to keep in mind if we were dealing with smaller business owners? And let's qualify that by saying with up to 50 employees in a variety of industries. If there's anything a little different, a little, are there other characteristics that might say be a little different from much larger corporations? Some are very obvious
Yeah.
because they could make faster decisions, but generally.
I mean, first thing that comes to mind.
Thank you.
Sure. First thing that comes to mind is the smaller business owner. It might be the entrepreneur who started it, and it grew. So there's a lot of whoa, mic drop.
Who's Elijah?
They might be, they have a lot of personal investment. So I think you have to acknowledge that and, just go in with a mindset that they are, this is their baby. Okay, and we don't call their baby ugly. If there are problems, you let them bring it up. I think you're positive about how your experience with their company has been always so good, and I think they're also very direct. They're going to, they're used to being the boss, right? So, I mean, I don't know, they may have, if someone is into sailboats, well, do you talk about sailboats or do you talk about the job? I don't know. I kind of let them take it, bring sailboats up, but that's me.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
myself, I wouldn't normally first go around.
right.
I think they want to be very direct quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, get to the point.
Yeah, they need to answer
Yeah,
initially.
right.
Meaning later in the conversation, I think it does help.
Or hopefully in a subsequent.
Yes,
conversation.
exactly. Yes,
As you guys build a relationship.
Yeah.
But and with me, I mean, I had experience calling on customers, small entrepreneurial customers. Some of them had a certain amount of bluster too. Now, I don't know, it was more in South Florida than here, but they were, a couple of the ones I'm thinking of were very almost explosive, but sometimes it was just venting. Oh, gee, the inventory over here is really bad, and they're not yelling at you, but it comes out. And it's probably a good thing because they perceive you as a peer and they can vent. But anyways, I think you have to be more prepared for anything because you're not going to get the tight button down person. So, does that help? Okay. Any other questions?
Nothing on the chat right now.
Okay. All right, now this kind of comes to no matter where the employer hiring manager is, but they have questions on their mind. I mean, first of all, why do they want to buy what you have to sell? So you've got to know what you're selling. But they're asking the questions, can you do the job? They're trying to assess that. Will you do the job? And those two things are different. Will you fit in? I mean, as you said, this entrepreneur has maybe 15, 20 employees. Each one of those employees, for the most part, is critical. So how are you going to fit in with them? And that becomes maybe especially important on the entrepreneurial side. What makes you stand out? Because remember, 200 resumes, and can they afford you? And that's a topic for a whole nother conversation about salary and negotiation. But that's one of the other things about the smaller company, is the corporate pay scale might not be there. Okay, how do you use a marketing plan? These are some of the descriptions about what I've talked about before, but it's a tool for you, and it's never done. I mean, if you do it right, you don't get it done and put it on the shelf. But as you go through job search, you meet new people, you learn new things, and some of those things will influence how you go to the market. Okay, so it's ideal world, it's a living document that, and it doesn't have to be pretty as it sits as you're working on it, and pencil marks and everything else. However you choose to manage it is up to you. I mean, some people would want to put it in Excel and have version 17 going for every set of changes, but other people will get a red pencil and put in something about, I learned this. Anyway, living document. It's a tool for your network. You can take a little time, doesn't take long, to put a shortened version of your marketing plan together, and that can be part of your leave, either the leave behind I talked about before, or a flavor of it. Your call what you do. There's no rules here, so it's up to you. Okay, we did that. The approach that I talked about this whole time has been different. You're the given. You are yourself. You have your strengths. You have your weaknesses, and you're trying to find the work that suits you. Okay, it's very empowering to do that. It could also be frustrating because you may not find that definition right away. These are the points we went over. Finding a bridge person at the organizations you want to go to, that can be a big help. Somebody who can open some doors for you for an informational interview, or give you a clue that maybe this department is going to be looking for somebody next week because their key person is leaving. Those kind of people are gold. Let's see, courtesy counts. That's a good one. In all of this, what you find is that the general style is very transactional, right? Recruiter calls you, yes, no, maybe, move on. The courtesy counts if you have more than just a brief exchange with somebody. If you have an informational interview, a thank you email or a thank you for your time. Yeah, thank you email is probably an appropriate level of communication back. Or a thank you email that says, oh, by the way, I didn't know this before, and it was a really good tip you gave me about that. To make it personal. And that person can become part of your network, because that's part of all of this is about, is growing your professional network so that if God forbid you find yourself in this spot 3 years from now, this person's not a stranger. Okay. Also, let's see, power of the thank you is really important, and just general courtesy it shows that you fit in. Okay. All right. For some hard stuff, we've got a template of what a marketing plan might look like. Fill in the blanks. and the address of it and instructions on how to get to it are on the left of the chart. It's a Word document. You can download it and adjust it or build it out the way you want. And it's just getting started. Remember I said there's no rules. So if this format doesn't suit you, that's okay, do your own. It doesn't matter, it's for you. So take a look at this. If you were to, you could add accountability goals. Some people like to manage themselves that way, to say by the end of the week, I'm going to do, have 5 new LinkedIn contacts and 1 interview. If that motivates you, go for it. And you could put that in the marketing plan if you like. Another, maybe the top, if I look at this and I say, maybe if I dropped off the target section and put my picture on it, it could be a good leave behind for somebody. So again, it's just a framework. It's better than starting with a blank sheet of paper. And there may be some things in there that are good for you. Okay, this is kind of a rehash of this initial chart about there's no right way or wrong way. You can't lock yourself into only one way. You have to try different things. There's no penalty for trying something that doesn't work. Okay, if you choose to set up your LinkedIn profile this way and you're not getting anything, change it. Okay, it doesn't matter. People aren't comparing. The world's moving too fast. 10 years ago, I would say I'd want to have a consistent resume across companies. Well, now they're not talking to each other. So I want a personalized resume to the opportunity, customized. And I mean, I'm still me, and I'm still going to say I work here and there and the other place, but I'm not going to kill myself to have every word match up. Techniques and practice are good. If having groups of people to talk to, coming to one of these meetings in person is a good way to meet up with people and talk. That's the one downside of COVID, and it happened at work with the water cooler, and it happens in job search with meetings, is that it's harder to find meetings. That some of the groups that, like some of the job seeker groups that we know of, have gone out of business because of they couldn't adapt to virtual. And so thank God for the library that we're able to do this, and to David and the rest of the executive committee for pulling it together. Okay. The other parts of this are stuff I didn't talk about. It is an opportunity to make changes. So I changed from being a corporate guy into being an entrepreneur for a couple of years. That was part of that curve where, remember, the curve went from acceptance. It ended up at acceptance. At some point, I got to the point where I was just so frustrated looking for jobs, I decided I would be my own boss. Individual stressors, okay, they're different now than they were 5 years ago. Remote work, isolation, returning to the office, are you going to, are you not? Are you going to be forced to? All kinds of issues out there. Another thing to think about now, and I hate to put it on the chart, is the recession. I mean, our companies are making decisions now that they're not laying people off now, but first quarter, who knows what's going to happen. So, if you're gainfully employed right now and it's tolerable, I would make sure to follow the first law of wing walking and don't let go until you have another one to grab onto. So I'm not saying don't change jobs, but be careful. One symptom of a company that's looking to grow, look at their job sites. See if they are hiring recruiters. If they're hiring recruiters, that means that they want to bring some new people on board in a few months. And that could be a sweet spot for you if you want to work at a particular company. Online is becoming more and more important. Video is becoming more and more important so you got to kind of prepare yourself for that by having at some point you'll probably need to be able to have either a laptop camera or a side camera or something so that you can do a video interview. You could start preparing for that now and not having to rush the day before the interview to try to figure it out. Expect more phone interviews, more video interviews. It's just people, I think that's a remnant of COVID. Technology-based interviews. There's more and more game-oriented interview techniques that might be okay, here are 3 choices. Which one would you make and why? And, write a little essay. You've got 3 minutes, or some other thing. I don't know. Anybody? Do either of you guys have experience with the algorithmic-based or technology-based interviews? I'm trying to get a story. It's things they're using this more often, so that to help assess the quality of candidates.
Alex Freund would also be a good person to talk to.
Okay. Yeah, Alex Freund is he's a local guy who does interview coaching. Oh. And so he's listed in our resources tab. So in all of this, in job search, make sure that you take care of yourself. Get your exercise, eat right, all those things that you normally do. Just because you want to spend a lot of time in job search, or maybe you don't, but you feel you have to, you still have to eat. You still have to take care of your body. Likewise, it's an opportunity to help others. People are willing to help, and that goes both ways. So cut people some slack because they're under as much pressure as you are, and show kindness. That's I think where I'm going to leave it. Oh, that's where I'm the formal presentation. On the back of this, I have a bibliography of sorts that is various articles and books that I found helpful over in developing the presentation and in my own job search. So they're there for your use. I like that right in the middle there is Karen Price Muller. Wrote this article back in 2020 about, and it kind of rehashes a little bit about what I talked about, but if you find yourself, it helps you take an assessment. There's some websites of different career coaches, and a lot of these people offer content at no charge. And some of that content can be really good. One of the examples is Melanie Woods. I think Melanie's in Dallas or Houston, but she has a library of videos that she's done that address various job searching topics. And they're not sessions like this, they're just like her speaking, but they're very good. So that's another one. New Jersey Department of Labor, we talked about that a little bit, that they, especially in COVID, they've worked with employers to hire new people. And the last thought, and it kind of goes to the theme of this presentation. It's a quote by Branch Rickey. Okay, now you may not know who Branch Rickey was, but Branch Rickey was started out as a baseball player back in 1905 to 1907. He, among other things, he was the general manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates in the 40s, I think it was in the 40s, and he mandated that all players wear batting helmets. Before that, use of batting helmets were considered rare and kind of, you weren't a strong guy if you had to wear a batting helmet, but Branch Rickey did that. But the most thing he's famous for is he's the one who broke the color barrier and hired Jackie Robinson to play for the Brooklyn Dodgers. So anyway, this is his quote. "Good luck is what is left after intelligence and effort have combined at their best. Luck is the residue of design." I kind of like that, and thought I'd leave it with you. Here's my stuff. And if you want to talk about something, give me a call. Again, this is at the back of the presentation, so thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And for either those of you online or here, any questions just before Bill officially signs off or completely signs off? Once, twice. Thank you. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, great. Thank you very much, Bill.
you're welcome.
Hello. I am so glad that you were here to do this presentation. Bill does this at least once a year for us. Not only is a friend of job seekers, but he's a friend of mine, friend of all of us. He's part of the executive committee here at PSG. So someone with a lot of passion, certainly. And, you know, I really liked how you opened the presentation. For me, it was kind of like level setting with some of the information you provided. You know, create that targeted companies list, you know, work with, you know, simplify your vision by focusing on companies that make the most sense for you. And then there are a lot of channels which he talked about, but use the ones that are the best for you. And if you're not very comfortable, start with just one or just two and get yourself started. So, you know, use the best, find the best ones to use. And I also liked the naming convention discussion you had at the beginning, because some of us have been working for many years, 15, 20, 30 years, and titles have changed. Ways of approaching things have changed. And so names have changed as well. So if you need to change the way you're looking based on the way we use the vernacular today. So very important tips. And then, you know, of course, you just got, you know, allowed us deep dive with you into a lot of the details behind it. But I liked how you started that. So I want to let you know our program over the next couple of weeks as well. So now that you are thinking about a marketing plan, and for some of you this is very new, so you have to kind of let it digest a little bit. Next week we will be right back here in person. Deborah Weedman will be joining us. How to write a winning resume. So Bill talked about a resume as part of the marketing plan. And so your next step may be how to write a winning resume. And you may have a resume, maybe you'll get some tips for making some changes or improvements. And Deborah will be presenting virtually, but we will be back here in person. And then that's the 21st, the 28th, Rachel Simon will be here. And the next step, because Bill talked about it as well, is LinkedIn on your to-do list, how to jumpstart your strategy. So you may be on LinkedIn, you may have a profile on LinkedIn, but Rachel is one of the gurus on LinkedIn. She's been here before and will give us some good tips and tricks for making it a winning strategy. So that's what we have for the next couple of weeks. So I hope you can join us either in person. We're glad to be back here in person, thanks to our friends here at the library. And we are still promoting our meeting virtually. Bill's slide deck, which he just presented, is now posted on our website, so you're welcome to go take a look at it. I did put the link in chat. You can go directly to that page. And other meetings that are coming up, always our cousin organizations are meeting as well. PSG of Central New Jersey meets every Monday at 10:30, psgcnj.biz. You can check out their website. And every Wednesday, PSG of Morris County meets virtually as well, psgmc.org. So you can check out their websites. So until we get to see you again, either in person or virtually, or I don't know, walk in the street, we will simply say thank you, everybody, and bye, everybody.